In 1800, John Jay had renovations made to a small farmhouse on 750 acres in northern Westchester, in preparation for his retirement as a gentleman farmer. For 27 years, he had served alongside Washington, Adams, Madison, and Franklin, shaping the foundation of this country.
John Jay was one of the most important and least well understood founders of the country.
Jay, in fact, with Franklin and with John Adams and Henry Laurens, really made America what it is today.
He was president of the Second Continental Congress, which in some ways means he was president of the country before George Washington. He negotiated the treaty that ended the Revolutionary War. He was first Chief Justice of the United States. He was governor of New York State, most importantly at the time when New York passed its own act for the gradual abolition of slavery, and that is a really important story in its own right.
John Adams once wrote that John Jay was more important in developing and adopting the Constitution than any of the other men involved.
Today, Jay's Bedford home not only contains a compelling collection of American and European antiques and decorative arts, but it is where Jay's unique accomplishments and the important role he played in the founding of our nation come alive.
We walk inside and look at the objects, the desk he used, look at the bookcase, and all these pieces. They help to tell a story. And they tell us stories about the past and teach us about history.
One of my absolute favorite treasures is the barrister's bookcase. It's a tall, really handsome mahogany piece that comes apart in sections. And it's believed that Jay, when he was serving on the first Supreme Court, may have taken his library to these tiny towns that had no libraries, and they had to bring their libraries with them. So they would carry their books with them in sections of their bookcases, wrap them up in blankets, and drag them on a wagon. That's an interesting story, partly because it's such an old and important piece of furniture, and also because the story of how the early Supreme Court was designed and how burdensome it was for the first justices to have to ride circuit all tie back to that piece of furniture.
The furniture, decorative art, and paintings collections are rare among historic house museums because in large part they are original to the Jay family.
One story is that Gilbert Stuart painted the portrait of John Jay in his Supreme Court justice robes, and John Jay liked that so much that he was the one who introduced Gilbert Stuart to George Washington. So we like to take credit for that.
The historic home and collections are just the beginning for all there is to experience at the John Jay Homestead. The beautiful 62-acre park is open for picnics, trail walks, garden and landscape tours, and a distinguished lecture series.
We appreciate the fact that people come here for so many different reasons. People come here for house tours and lectures and schools programs. They also come here for the farm market and family events like the barn dance or the Independence Day reading of the Declaration of Independence.
This house is more than just a house. It's a story we can learn from.
We can tell the story of how the Federalist Papers were written. We can tell the story of what was the difference between being a servant and being a slave with people who lived in this house.
Our mission is really to keep those stories alive, to keep teaching about the past, about the birth of our nation, about literally the freedom that we have today that makes us America.